drum was found at the street, at the curb. As you can see, it's filthy, and you can hear they tuned it too high. There's no muffling in it. The front head is destroyed. We'll see what we can do. We can get this front head off and do something about the tuning and the muffling for it. Right now I'm just tuning it down a little bit to give it more of a low tone instead of that high pitch that they had it tuned to. A bass drum should be low. That's a little more like it. Now we'll just clean the shell with a damp cloth to bring out the nice color here. Had a lot of dirt on it. Get this other head off. Just a damp cloth to clean the hoop, and then I'll clean the inside edge of this head, and then the bearing edge of the drum too. I like to get rid of all the dust and debris and sand. There's a lot of junk in here, and I want the head to seat properly. Instead of this crappy groove percussion head that was on the batter side, I'll put now a pearl protone head on the batter side. It's not much better. It's the stock pearl head that you get with a crappy pearl drum set. I prefer Remo heads, but now the trick is to only tighten them enough so that they don't wiggle around. We don't really want to make it super tight. And that's unique to the bass drum. All the other drums, the snare, the tom, you actually tighten them pretty good so they're really tight. But the bass drum, we want it to be a nice low tone, so we only tighten it to the point of the wiggle, and then I go a little bit more. And then I'll seat the head by just pressing down in the middle. That'll make sure it's evenly seated. But again, you just want it dead. So it sounds like a drum, you know, a kick drum, and not a kettle drum. Drums have a lot of ring to them, and if you don't control that, they'll just sound like kettle drums. You know what a kettle drum is, like a timpani, like in the symphony, like 2001: A Space Odyssey, where it goes boom, 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 boom. It's a big ring. You don't really want that. Hear that ring? I don't want that. Not for a kick drum. So we'll be putting foam in there. Now, I can fix this with duct tape and then cut a hole in the front like they do. Okay, that's nice and dead now, huh? I'll trace a circle and cut a hole. I'm going to trace around the tape right here where all the major holes are. And we'll cut a hole even bigger than this. The trick to getting the circle perfectly round is to do tiny little cuts. You can't do big ones. Just tiny little cuts as you're turning the scissor. Another trick is to use a curved scissor like they do for, you ever see those curved toenail scissors? Those work too. But if you're slow and patient and you can go in small little cuts, you can turn that scissor as you're going, and it's not too bad. They actually sell a kit to do this too, where you're taping a big piece of really hard plastic on there, but I think that's pretty nice. Considering what this head was anyway, you know what I mean? It was already ripped and shredded. So now we have a nice dead head with an access hole. Put it right here. Here it just rings and rings and rings. But if I put this foam in there, I got this trick from Ian Pace, the guy in Deep Purple. He actually puts foam all the way around. Can you imagine? To me, that's too much. A lot of guys just use a pillow. Okay, so now the back head is dead, and it's see-through. I like that on the batter side. I like to be able to see through the head so you know what's going on in there if you have to move anything. All right, so now that's dead. We're going to put this on the front, and we should have a pretty good sounding drum. Let's think about it. If somebody gave their kid this drum set thinking that they would learn drums, the mistake was they didn't tweak it at all. You heard what this sounded like. That ringing bass drum is horrible. It's not what the kid hears on records. It's not what any of us hear on a record. So, of course, he tried it. He didn't like the sound. His parents didn't like the sound. The neighbors didn't like the sound. Nothing was good about it. It ends up in the garbage. Or in this case, this drum was found on the street, and somebody who knows I play drums, and I have a red drum set, so they know that I could use this. So thank you, Mikey C. We'll see what this sounds like. So if we try it with a bass drum pedal, to my opinion, it still rings a little too much. I'm going to tape a piece of this inside the head where that hits. I'll tape it inside so that between the tape and this non-slip grip, it will deaden it even more. All right, so that will definitely help deaden it some more. Usually you'll use a piece of white felt here, or you'll buy a special $30 or $40 head that has gray or black foam around. But again, it's not worth putting all that expense in when this will accomplish the same thing. So the rule of thumb is you make them finger tight, and then when you can't go anymore, you just go a little bit more on these bass drums, just to snug it down. Okay, I think that'll do. So this way it won't rattle, but it's secure. So this is the front head. See? Nice and dead. And here's the batter side. Sounds good to me. Then we'll hook up the bass drum. Forgot the foam. That's why it's nice to have a hole in the front, see? This piece here is actually a leg, see? The leg goes here. This holds it on the floor, semi-straight. We're actually missing one leg. There should be two of these, but I could use any piece of metal or wood that I have. Right? I happen to have this bar. We could try that on the other side. Right? The point is just so that the drum doesn't roll around. Drums tend to rock, you know, they tend to drift forward while you're playing them. But now with the legs, so now we're good, see? Got some nice legs on there. Now, let's remember back what this drum sounded like when we first banged it. Let's see what it sounds like now. What a difference.